All right, so in a world of overproduced YouTube content, here's probably the lowest quality video you're going to see in a while. So I figured I'd make a YouTube channel. I called it the Make It Up As You Go channel because that's kind of what I do whenever I'm DIYing stuff. I figure I would make a channel where I could do things, have people go into the comments, tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong, and hopefully somebody else would be able to look at the comments and learn. Now, I know on YouTube, a lot of times the content creators are always very fragile and say things like, oh, please be respectful in the comments, or they get offended when somebody goes over and tells them they're doing something wrong in the comments. Frankly, I don't care. It's the internet. Be as mean as you want. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Honestly, if you could make me laugh, that'd be awesome. My own expense, it just won't bother me at all. So have at it. So anyway, I had a large pine tree fall in my backyard. Decided to give it an electric chainsaw a go. Why? I don't know. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I figured, I have enough battery powered stuff. Electric chainsaw might be pretty useful to have. Be nice to have something that when you need it, you just throw a battery in it and it works. But as you can see, I got a pretty big pine tree here and figured why not try and cut it up with this Milwaukee chainsaw. Now, this is the older one. I know they have a couple of versions of these chainsaws now. This is the one I got from Home Depot for like 220 bucks. Initial impressions were it was pretty good. If you're just going to be cutting up branches and like smaller trees, this thing actually is not bad. But if you're going to be cutting up anything bigger than, some thick branches, this thing is kind of a pain in the ass. Now, I figured it was going to kill a lot of batteries. I have enough Milwaukee batteries that I wasn't really too worried about it. But that wasn't the issue. The issue is this kept overheating my batteries. I've never ran into that issue with any of my other large output tools like the blower or the weed whacker. This is the first one that I've ever had just constantly overheat batteries like this. Another issue that I ran into is it actually messed up my 8 amp hour battery, which stinks because it costs more than the tool itself. It apparently unbalanced the battery, which I guess messes up a couple of the cells in the battery, and then it can't maintain a full charge. Now, if you're wondering what that jack stand is there for, the tree was at a little bit of an angle, so I figured I'd put a jack stand up. One, to help balance the tree a little bit, and two, so I was always just making downward cuts. It just made it a little bit easier to cut through. I'm sure this is probably not the correct way to do this, but it actually works pretty well. Now, using an electric chainsaw for this was definitely not the correct way to do this. I would have definitely benefited from using a standard gas chainsaw, 50cc chainsaw, or something better. But I was actually surprised. I mean, how much can I really complain? I got the job done in the end. Now, if you're wondering why it looks like this chainsaw is cutting through this tree pretty quickly, it's because the video is sped up. Again, I'm not here to talk bad about the chainsaw. I'm just trying to give somebody an idea how powerful this chainsaw is. Again, great for large branches and maybe like a real small tree, but if you're going to be doing something like this, you definitely should have a gas powered chainsaw. I'm curious to see how those newer chainsaws work, especially the ones with the dual batteries. I'm sure those have quite a bit of power. I think those are like equal to like 50 or 60cc chainsaws. This one was definitely underpowered for this job, but as you can see, I keep having to switch out these batteries, and they're not dying on me. They're just overheating. So I have to switch them out with cool batteries, and my 8 amp hour was the only one that wound up taking any permanent damage. The rest of them I just let cool down and switch them out to one of my other batteries. Here I'm cleaning up this stump. It was kind of interesting, if anybody really knows what's going on here. The entire inside of the stump was hollow. Looks like maybe some bugs got in there, termites or whatever, because there were a lot of little holes that were like burrowing. Here's what the inside of the stump actually looked like. The whole thing was just completely hollow on the inside. I mean, you can see why the tree fell. I'm going to wind up having to take out the other side of that tree because I'm sure that is hollow on the inside as well. Anyway, as they say, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.